26 minutes ahead of the hour here on this Tuesday morning. Cloudy skies with a bit of rain in Clinton. The heavier rain to the south this morning. It's 39 degrees in Clinton at this time.
Local information that makes a difference. Here's your regional weather.
Rain, even snow mixing today. Temperatures in the lower to mid 30s. An east-southeast wind at 15 to 25 miles an hour. Snow and sleet accumulation today, less than a half an inch. Patchy fog tonight, cloudy otherwise. Temperatures in the mid-30s, a 40% chance of rain in the afternoon Wednesday with highs in the lower 40s. Rain likely Wednesday night, lows in the lower 30s. Thursday, partly sunny, a temperature in the lower to mid-40s. And Friday, partly sunny with a high of 50 degrees for your New Year's Eve. So things shaping up rather nicely to ring in the new year in central Illinois. Rain showers across the area. I mentioned most of the heavier rain to the south. 36 in Bloomington, also 36 in Hayworth and Leroy, 37 in Farmer City, 39 in Champaign, 40 in Monticello, 39 in Decatur, 38 in Mount Pulaski, 37 in Lincoln, 38 in Springfield. It's 35 in Peoria. 39 with some light rain in Clinton. Winds are calm, 85% humidity, and 10 miles of visibility on this Tuesday. Weather anytime is at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your own home without the maintenance. If you're 55 or better, a beautiful Liberty Village villa could be yours. This is Erin, and I invite you to come take a tour of our move-in ready villa. Click the Liberty Village icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Simply the finest.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Altorfer Ag Products in Clinton offers advice to save a life. If you are at a family function or party and have been drinking, don't leave the party and try to get behind the wheel. Consider safe options, like riding home with a designated driver, calling a cab, or staying overnight. If you notice a friend or relative in no condition to drive, make sure they don't. This message from Altorfer Ag Products in Clinton, reminding you, arrive alive, don't drink and drive.
Noah Atkinson here, owner of Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs in Lincoln. Proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month.
Ryan Utterback is a second-generation real estate agent. He and his family have owned and operated Utterback Real Estate in Clinton for some 30 years. Ryan and his team not only offer services to real estate buyers and sellers, but they've been long involved in local civic organizations giving back to the community. They'll receive a $200 gift card, good at Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs, for being our WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month. Nominate a business you'd like to be featured by emailing us at whow@randyradio.com.
Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs reminds you that if you're in need of anything printed, from envelopes and wedding invitations to signs, banners, and even vinyl wraps, think of us. Find us online at lincolnprintersinc.com.
You're listening to The Morning Show on the Big 1520 across central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. My guest in studio is Larry Peterson. He is employment specialist with Workforce Investment Solutions. And Larry, good to see you once again. How are you today?
Hey, Seth, I'm doing fine. Great to be here.
Absolutely. We appreciate you making time and coming on up to the barn and chatting with us as always. And before we go too deep into our topics today, Larry, let's just kind of give a general outline. Maybe folks are watching on the YouTube, Facebook channels for the first time, or they're listening in on the radio dial or whatever the avenue may be, and they don't know what Workforce Investment Solutions is. Give us a 10,000-foot overview of the operation.
Sure. Yeah, Workforce Investment Solution is the local federally funded agency that serves both Macon and DeWitt County, and we're charged with helping job seekers find good, sustainable employment, and also helping employers. That's really our mandate. Is it's all employer driven. What do they need to make their company profitable?
Mm-hmm. We were talking before we got started this morning that this isn't just a matter of folks coming in and saying, what can you do for me? they've got to put in the time, the efforts, and make that investment on their end. Talk about how employers and workers do that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Both of those segments, we have a great selection of services for both job seekers and employers. And really, the first step is always just coming in and saying, I heard you on the radio. I read something about it in the paper. What can you do for me? Is there strings attached? Do I have to pay something? How much information am I going to have to give away? And really, as a small business employer myself, and also working for Workforce Investment Solutions, I make it as seamless and as, let's say, less threatening as possible. And yes, overall, our services are free. It's your taxpayers' dollars that we get monitored how we spend that money. And so we have to show that it's going to worthwhile causes.
How do you make it seamless for both employers and workers?
Well, sure. The seamless would be, I do a lot of the work for the employers. If they're looking to help train someone or get good employees, how can we help assess them? It's not a big rigorous undertaking for them to maybe do some extra assessments. Also recruiting. Let us help you recruit through a Zoom event or even maybe an in-person eventually, where you can come in and interview a group of people, where we have advertising and sources to get those applicants.
Sure. We mentioned, Larry, that, both employers and workers have to have an investment on their end of things. What does that look like from those two ends?
Take the job seeker. If you're looking for a job or you've been out of a job, you go, what's my first step? And sometimes it's just for us to listen to a person. What are your interests? Maybe you can sit down at a computer and sort of help focus your ideas of what you want. So Workforce is there to assist you. Now, yes, we do have some funding. Let's say if you want to go back to school and you're going into an industry or an occupation that requires a certain amount of certification. Wouldn't it be nice if you could get that paid for? Well, you got to put skin in the game. You got to come in, you got to fill out the paperwork. And if you're eligible, wouldn't it be nice to be able to go to, let's say, Richland Community College and say, here's a voucher for spring semester?
Sure, absolutely. What is the first step for someone to get connected with Workforce Investment Solutions?
Sure. I mean, the easiest step is if you're on your smartphone or if you're on your phone, to call the office, and it's a real simple number. A lot of the prefixes in Decatur are 875. So just think of 875-8751.
Very good.
That'll get to the office. They'll get your receptionist, and they will refer you to the really the next step. The other one is our internet, our website, worknetdecatur.org.
Very good. So, Larry, anything from just the general overview of Workforce that we didn't talk about, maybe an aspect of things that you want to make sure the public knows about?
Well, yeah, there's so many things that we do. If you're an employer listening in, again, reach out to me and say, again, what can you do for me? And I'll say, well, what are you really looking for? Everybody's looking for employees, typically, looking for qualified employees, looking for employees that will show up for work. I will share with them some of the successes that we have. And again, maybe the biggest thing is to do a recruiting event to where we can put our resources together and get a list of people, and you can interview or really explain your company from your own office through the computer to some job seekers. Now, from the job seeker standpoint, they just want to call in and say, hey, I maybe they'll say, I want a job. Well, we will take that request and say, how can we help you find what you're interested in? We're not a job placement agency, but at the same time, for a job seeker and for the employer, we have funds to where we can do like on the job training. Person gets trained to learn new skills. The employer gets somebody that's learning new skills. Everybody wins.
Sure, absolutely. Again, Larry Peterson is the employment specialist with Workforce Investment Solutions, our guest in studio here this morning. And we'll dive more into some of those things, Larry, the way that you can help employers and train employees and get them connected. We'll talk about some of those things as we go along. But I want to dive into, as we come up on the new year, perhaps a New Year's resolution for maybe a worker that just isn't happy with their situation, maybe someone that was displaced from work during the COVID pandemic and they're ready to get back into things. perhaps there's a resolution on their list to do something of that nature. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's a good segue into, and that's what we're sort of finding here in December. Some of our inquiries have picked up, and at the same time, we think that there could be more people inquiring, what kind of what's going to happen in the new year. So when you think of the resolution, we're all sort of saying what went right with last year, what's going to change next year. And so with a resolution, I always start off with, and you hear it, and maybe it's sort of not too important, but you sort of say, what are your goals? You got to have something out there that you want to do. Now, again, maybe our goals are for 1 month, 3 months. If an employer, they're looking a year, 2 years down the line, what are going to be their challenges? What improvements are they going to make? What new products are they going to be putting out, whether it's a service product or a physical product? The same thing with a job seeker. Like you mentioned, they may have been in an industry where before the pandemic, they were sort of saying, well, this is sort of a dead end job, but I'm making okay money. But now they have had to change. Maybe their goals in their own personal and family life have changed to where say, maybe I ought to change industries. How can I get the certifications? Or what? I have two different ideas. Do I want to become a truck driver or do I want to become a nurse?
Sure.
Or a CNA?
Yeah. So many options that you can pursue, especially when you've got a resource like, say, Richland Community College in the backyard to train so many of these folks. But Larry, what's the first step for someone in that scenario? Someone that wants to maybe change careers, someone that wants to get back into the workforce. They've been out of work for a while and just weren't seeking employment opportunities. What's the first step?
You know what? I think like in any way you talk, whether you're going to some of these social gatherings, small or large now, that you're talking about what's going on in your life. The first step really is to allow someone the opportunity to listen. It's not like we want to get into your life, but to make yourself successful, you have to sort of know where you're going or what your interests really are. So let workforce, let's say, do or help you assess what your interests are and then what the business climate is. You might think you want to be a florist, not to say anything against or for florists, but maybe that you'd say, how can I make my career without being maybe a business owner? Or is that going to be a stepping stone to a career? Our career planners know this kind of information and can help guide you into the direction you want to learn.
That's interesting you say that because, for a lot of folks, perhaps the hang up is, well, I don't know what I want to do, but I want to do something. So just
take some assessments.
Yeah.
We used to always take those personality tests. Now you have some vocational tests. But again, we know the industries around here. And you mentioned before, the resource that we have with Richland Community College. Not only do they have their 2-year degree type courses that could lead on to another 4-year type degree, but they have plenty of vocational type trades that a person can make a very good living if that's their interest. So explore those. I think we all see that we just don't know what's out there.
Yeah. Larry, I see something in your notes I'm curious about. Becoming very popular is incumbent worker training. Talk to me about this a little bit.
Sure. If a company can't find enough workers to fill their jobs or to expand, what they have been contacting workforce and me to say, you know what, we have this employee or we have a group of employees that need training in a new skill, a new process. And what that's in the incumbent worker. These workers are your current employees, but are going to be trained with a new skill. They come to us and they say, boy, this skill training, I'm gonna have to take them off the job for a while, or I'm gonna take them off for a couple of hours to learn this. There's an expense in doing that. Wouldn't it be nice if workforce could help fund those training expenses? So that's where money comes into, and employers have taken advantage of it, whether it's one person learning something, maybe it's a group of people. We had a warehouse person that the employer says, boy, wouldn't it be nice to have him get his CDL? Because he needs to move trucks around the yard. Otherwise, they would have to call one of their over-the-road truck drivers, say, hey, when you're in the plant, come and move this truck for us because we need it moved. Well, we helped pay for the CDL training for that employee to make themselves more popular.
Now, you did something similar, if I'm not mistaken, with AAK Mechanical in Clinton?
Yes, yeah, we did this last year and a half. They took advantage of on-the-job training. We had 2 young individuals that had gone through part of the youth program to say, is this industrial type job something that you want to do? Well, they said yes. They had good fundamental skills. So we'll teach them a little bit about what it takes to work at AA Mechanical. And so we actually paid wages while they were learning. Now, I had to come up and talk to their supervisors. I talked to the employees. I said, are you learning anything? Or are you just sweeping floors? So they had to actually teach them some skills. And sure enough, after 6 months training, they learned some of the skills in the shop from AAK and also went on to welding, going out on jobs with the crews. And so all of a sudden they wanted to hire the person that had invested time, but we helped them get over the hump as far as the investment in their wages.
I see. So another example of how workforce can help with employers.
Exactly. OJT, where we can reimburse wages, and then incumbent worker, where we can help defray some of those training costs. And we're glad to tell people what training costs we would help fund.
Larry, anything in the realm of just, helping workers, get into the workforce in 2022 as a part of, a resolution they've made or anything like that? Anything I missed in that conversation?
Well, again, you want to be prepared. Some people says, oh, I want to be, go back to the truck driver, or I want to work for AAK. What does it take? Well, you're going to make yourself a first impression so much better. As they say, you only have one chance to make a first impression. So why not just take a little bit of time, contact workforce and say, what can you do to help prepare me for my job? You may not have to do a full-fledged perfect resume as if you were going to apply for a certain types of job, but a nice little resume that gives you speaking points to when you talk to people, that what skills that you have, but also just your interviewing skills instead of the uhs and the ahs and looking down at your feet. We give you 5 or 10 basic tips. So you go, well, yeah, that makes sense. Let me practice it. Do it once a time in a mirror, and you'll be surprised how much more confident you are. So yeah, just and also how to job search. Some people says, oh, I've talked to 3 companies, nobody's hiring me. Well, why aren't they hiring you? Talk to somebody and see if a light bulb goes off to help yourself.
There you go. Well, Larry, let's take a time out here. Come back with some more. Larry Peterson is the employment specialist with Workforce Investment Solutions in Macon and DeWitt County. More to come with him on the WHOW Morning Show.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Tuesday. I'm Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network. Corn, beans, and wheat all starting the day lower. March corn 6.10 1/4, down 4 1/2. May corn down 4 1/2, 6.12 1/4. December 22 corn 5.52, down a nickel. January beans opening 13.56, down 6 1/2. March beans down 6 1/2, 13.65. November beans 12.69. Down 8 1/4. March wheat 7.91, down 13. May wheat down 11 3/4, 7.96 1/2. July wheat 7.90 1/4. That's down 10 1/2. January bean meal 4.14.40, down 40 cents. January bean oil starting the day 56.98, up 26 cents. That's a look at the opening numbers at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Tuesday morning. I'm Jim Taylor for the RFD Radio Network.
At Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Baum Motor Company in Farmer City, our job is to help you and solve your transportation needs. This is Scott Baum. Both in Clinton or Farmer City, we'll listen and find options for a different vehicle, or we'll give you repair options to keep that car, truck, or SUV safe and trouble-free so you can continue with your busy schedule. If it has to do with transportation, we're here to help. Visit our full-service team today in Clinton or Farmer City. Baum Chevrolet Buick, right from the start.
MR Systems Wireless has an immediate opening. They're looking for a full-time internet installer to perform the initial setup of wireless internet and voice-over IP services, as well as troubleshoot and repair wireless and phone services for customers. You'll be responsible for the basic installation and maintenance of wireless equipment. No experience necessary. Includes health benefits, mileage reimbursed. Starting pay is $15 an hour. Find out more and apply by going to mrsystemswireless.com, then clicking About, then Employment. Equal opportunity employer.
This is the morning show on 92.3 FM in DeWitt County. WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. Larry Peterson is the employment specialist for Workforce Investment Solutions and joins us in studio today. And Larry, we were talking quite extensively before we got started about just where are the workers? We see all these help wanted signs, and with those, added benefits of an unemployment expiring back in September, it doesn't feel like there's been that influx back into the workforce by a lot of folks.
Yeah, it's interesting what you hear on the news and even locally. We know in our two counties, there's plenty of jobs available. You don't have to search a whole lot of job boards. I think a lot of times people say, well, why can't I get a job? Well, you have to sort of know what you're looking for again, and also know how to approach that employer. I had some employers that say, not exactly. If you can breathe and be in here on time, we're going to hire you. Now, you may not get through their onboarding process because you sort of fool them on some ideas. But yes, the help wanted is definitely a need. And even though unemployment is lowering now and more jobs, people are going back into the job market, I'm not for sure it's hit us as much as it needs to because of the job openings. And again, we have people that have retired. We're in a semi-aging communities. So people says, hey, I've sort of had enough, or I want to take my early retirement. The workforce has changed a little bit from before. So all of a sudden, companies are losing their good employees. They've built up their nest egg. They can take retirement. They need people to replace them because they are the most productive. So what does an employer do in order to replace them? And that again is the real challenge. So some people have sort of said, well, I'm going to stay out of the job market. I had a little bit of the supplemental unemployment insurance for a while. We adjusted our budget. One of us in our household is still, gainfully employed. Also, some of their expenses have gone down. They haven't had to drive, let's say, to work or pay for childcare or certain other expenses. They just readjusted their budget to where they say, you know what? We can live this way without the stress or the extra expense of going back to work. But find some of those jobs that the employer is maybe putting out an incentive bonus. And again, check those all out to be sure that when are you going to get that bonus for coming back in? Or the wages have gone up. If you used to think that a CNA was a minimum paying job, I can guarantee you between Springfield, Decatur, Clinton, all of the healthcare facilities are paying much better than they are. They have to have those qualified people, let alone nurses, to staff their facilities. So their wages are gone up. And the third thing would be benefits. Look at now each employer, what their first, your take-home benefits, your health, whatever it's going to be, or your retirement, but also look at how you can grow within that company. I've heard more employers talk about that's what they want to offer their employees because they don't want to keep going through the cycle of hiring, firing, or hiring. They're going to jump to the next job for another $1 an hour. So they want to tell that employee, if you stay with us, even short amount of time, we will help train you. We will help you get to that next level. So ask the employer what can be done in my career here.
Yeah, how much upward mobility is there?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's such a big thing for a lot of people is they want, they don't want a dead end job. They want something where it's meaningful for them. There is the opportunity, like you said, for growth, upward mobility, those sorts of things. It's interesting you said to just outright ask because that's, maybe a lot of people go into a job interview and they feel so, I don't want to say powerless, but it doesn't feel like the appropriate question.
And I talked to a lot of hiring people, and if they gave me one bit of advice to an interviewee, they would say, come in with a couple of good questions. Don't be smart alecky about it. But they want to see that you're interested, something about their company. So ask them a question that tells them that you are interested in their company and you might become, a good employee. The other thing that a person might want to do when they're looking for a job is to just, again, be ready for that interview.
Well, and it's funny you talk about have a couple of questions ready for an employer. A friend of mine was looking to get back into work. This was a couple of years ago after he had stayed home with a couple of kids and those sorts of things, and he said, it's kind of interesting as I go back to looking for a job, I find myself becoming more of the wanting to know about the where I'm going to work and the people and the culture and those sorts of things. So,
yeah, and I would also tell people, don't be afraid if you say, well, I've never done this before. Employers are willing to help train you, or even if you've been out of school for a while, everybody says, oh, they may want too much more of my math skills or communication skills. You can brush up on those. There's stuff on the internet. There's short-term courses you can take. Don't hold yourself back. Again, that's what our career professionals are there for, to say, you might need a little bit of this. Here are some resources for you. Let us help you.
Sure. Well, Larry, I look at the clock. Unfortunately,
Oh my gosh.
I'm having to let you go here already. Best way for folks to learn more about Workforce Investment Solutions?
Sure. It's 875-8751 in Indicator, or worknetdecatur.org. Good website. It should show you some of the hiring events, recruiting events coming up. Call us. We'll give you the link. You can learn some more.
Are you on social medias at all?
Yes, I don't do that myself, but our coordinator does.
Okay, gotcha. So check out the
Facebook,
social media, Facebook for that as well. Well, Larry, it's always good to have you in the studio.
Here, yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming out. And again, Larry Peterson is the employment specialist for Workforce Investment Solutions, our guest in studio. Network news on the way on the WHOW Morning Show.